In 2005 and early 2006, literally hundreds of Texas homeowners lost their most valuable investment, their home, to fire. With continuing drought in many parts of the state, the suffering has only just begun. But there are things you and your clients can do to lessen loss and help keep their homes safer from fire. And who would know more about it than the Texas Forest Service? Tracy Weaver, Urban Wildland Interface Specialist, tells us some of the things the Texas Forest Service would look for to make homes safer from wildfire.
This year in Texas has been unprecedented. Between late winter of 2005 and through the summer of 2006, we burned over 1.8 million acres in Texas. 440 homes have been lost to fire and 19 lives. We now have people's attention, and we know that it's a good time to let people know there are things you can do around your house to make sure that your house won't be the next one that burns because of a wildfire. The house we're at right now sits on top of a hill, and it's obviously quite windy. Wind is the predominant factor we face when we're fighting a wildfire because it causes a fire to spread a lot more quickly. And it also means once you get into ignition, it's going to carry it a lot faster. So wind that we saw this winter with up to 70-mile-an-hour gusts in places, 50 and 60-mile-an-hour winds in the winter, were part of what caused the massive loss of homes. Entire communities were burned through. The city of Kokomo basically no longer exists, or the community of Kokomo. Ringgold lost 32 homes. Population of Ringgold's about 100. So you're looking at most of the homes in that community were lost. 116 homes in Cross Plains. So it's time for Texans to really stand up and pay attention to wildfire and do some things around their homes to make sure their homes will survive. The home where we're standing at sits on top of a hill, which is a beautiful place to build because of the scenic vistas. But one thing that we have to keep in mind is that fire travels up to 16 times faster upslope. It's basically like when you go to light a candle. The minute you tip a match downward, it's going to burn your thumb. We face the same thing when we see a home sitting on a hill. A fire coming up the hill, the flames are going to be bent over, preheating all the vegetation, preheating the home before they arrive. So there are a lot of things that folks need to do on the downslope side of their house to make sure that it will survive. There's also things they can do up close to their house with what vegetation they plant, and doing simple things like having gravel walkways between the vegetation and their home, making sure that their home is constructed of more fire-wise material. Most of the home we're looking at here is pretty fire-wise, with the exception of cedar shake shingles that go down the side of the house, and that can be a problem. The house does have a metal roof, which is definitely a good thing. And some of the things that we've seen behind us, the windows don't have vegetation right up close to the windows, because a lot of times a fire will catch a shrub or something on fire right next to a window, and the radiant heat will ignite something inside the house. The house will actually burn from the inside out. The other thing we need to be careful of is vegetation that goes right up underneath the eaves or around the attic of a home. Once you get fire in an attic, it's very difficult to save the home. Also, the carport that's attached is almost all cedar shake shingle siding, and the walkway between the two is cedar shake. So we have to be careful about that, and if we were to catch the carport on fire, it would more than likely burn the house down as well. Basically, our most volatile fuel types are most any of the conifers, your juniper species. Yaupon hollies are another problematic species. So we're looking at removing some of them, limbing the trees up to at least 6 feet, possibly even 10 on the downslope side, to make sure that we don't have anything that will carry fire up into the crown of the trees and approach the house. Another factor we're going to look at is the placement of the wood pile. Where the wood pile is here, it's a perfect receptor for firebrands. Firebrands are burning embers off of a wildfire. If the wood pile were to catch fire, it's going to ignite the carport, which would ignite the house. So we're going to look at some fixes for that. But basically, there's a lot of steps people can take. They're listed on firewise.org or on the Texas Forest Service website that are going to make a difference. One of the other good things they've done here is a circle driveway. So their access is good for fire trucks. They can get a fire truck up here, they can get it turned around and get it back out. One other thing that we need to make mention is some of the houses that we saw burn this year burned because of wooden porches, wooden decks, or unscreened attic vents. So really simple, really inexpensive fix can be putting wire mesh screening underneath your decks, making sure that there's no access for leaves or other debris to get under there where a firebrand can ignite it. Also putting gravel, pea gravel, or decorative rock, or anything that's not flammable up next to that porch is vital. Many of the homes we saw burned because of wooden porches. The other thing is any of your attic vents, make sure they're screened with fine wire mesh screening. We saw one home that fire departments were able to save, but the only reason we could figure it caught fire was all the firebrands funneling in through an attic vent that was not screened. So there's lots of little things you can think about. A home is only as strong as its weakest link. So if you've taken care of the smaller things and build up to the bigger things, more than likely your house will survive if a wildfire threatens.
Thank you, Tracy, and thanks to all the firefighters that work so long and hard in such dangerous situations to protect the lives and homes of the people of Texas. We want to reinforce what Tracy said. As you have seen from some of the video, all it takes is a gust of wind and a spark to turn a wildfire into a residential fire, and in almost any location in Texas. There's much more information on protecting your home from wildfire, and we urge you to visit the Texas Forest Service website at texasforestservice.tamu.edu or visit the Firewise website at firewise.org.